Thank you for listening to this question and answer overview presented by the Office of Child Abuse Prevention regarding the Strategies Project request for applications. The Office of Child Abuse Prevention, also known as the OCAP, is a bureau within the California Department of Social Services, or the CDSS. The CDSS is the administrative structure that monitors the California child welfare system and is focused on ensuring child safety, permanence, and well-being for children engaged or served by the child welfare system. The OCAP ensures that successful prevention strategies support and are integrated as part of the CDSS initiatives and activities. The OCAP's vision is no child suffers from abuse or neglect, its mission being to shape policy, build communities, and empower families so that child abuse, neglect, and their mitigating risk factors are prevented. The impact areas the Office of Child Abuse Prevention wishes to address include lifting the capacity of parents and prevention partners to protect children from abuse and neglect, linking and uniting prevention partners around a shared prevention agenda, and leveraging partnerships across systems to promote and integrate statewide and local prevention projects. The prevention of child abuse and neglect is most effective when families can ensure their child's safety and well-being, and thus do not engage or require child welfare involvement. The OCAP believes that when families are resilient, parents are more likely to withstand times of stress in ways that do not compromise a child's safety or well-being. Therefore, the OCAP seeks to build resilient families and communities as an essential prevention strategy. The OCAP is responsible for both statewide prevention endeavors and monitoring local prevention activities as part of federal requirements. It has two priority objectives. Objective number one being to promote an agenda to prevent child abuse and neglect both statewide and as part of the California Department of Social Services work. And objective two, to maintain responsibility to effectively utilize multiple state and federal prevention-focused funding streams, ensuring compliance with all governing legislation. The OCAP recently released its 2015 through 2020 strategic plan. The purpose of this strategic plan is to articulate the OCAP's vision and plan for preventing child abuse and neglect in California. The plan describes the core values that guide all the work that the OCAP does and the specific goals, objectives, and activities that will be implemented to achieve overarching goals. A wide variety of sources were consulted during the strategic planning process, and both quantitative and qualitative methods were used to analyze the findings. The OCAP's current strategic plan can be found online at the link indicated on your screen. The OCAP's guiding priorities for strategic plan years 2015 through 2020 are informed by the following 6 guiding priorities. Promoting strengths-based approaches. The OCAP promotes the widespread incorporation of family strengthening approaches, such as integrating protective factors as an essential prevention strategy. Engaging and empowering parents. The OCAP will advance approaches to meaningfully empower parents as they support and advocate for their families and inform prevention services and policy systems. Focus on high-need populations. Priority funding will focus on prevention strategies to address the needs in children and families impacted by overrepresentation in child welfare systems, child neglect, at-risk infants and children, vulnerable families, and poverty and/or economic challenges that impact families. Cultural responsivity and relevance. The OCAP will seek to ensure culturally responsive and relevant resources, best practice models, and implementation tools to share with counties and community-based prevention partners. Effective data-driven approaches. It is expected that all prevention approaches advocated by the OCAP have the best available evidence and, at a minimum, are data-informed, implemented with fidelity, and employ high-quality assessment strategies to monitor outcomes. Finally, building prevention partnerships. A goal of the OCAP is to build local prevention partnerships through capacity building, models, and community resources. Regarding the current request for applications for the Strategies grant, Approximately $2.5 million per year of federal and state funding will be available for the Strategies program for fiscal year 2016-17, fiscal year 2017-2018, and fiscal year 2018-2019 for a combined total of 3 years, with a grant period beginning July 1st, 2016 and ending June 30th, 2019. The funding amount is provisional and contingent upon OCAP receipt of federal grant awards. The OCAP reserves the right to terminate or extend this agreement following an evaluation at the conclusion of the 2016-2017 fiscal year, or on June 30th of 2017. The Strategies program is supported by Federal Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, or CAPTA, and Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention, or CBCAP, funds, as well as the State Children's Trust Fund, also known as SCTF funds. To be eligible for the Strategies grant, 2 or more organizations must apply collaboratively. Applicants must understand funding will only be allowed for training and technical assistance activities or services which seek to mitigate major risk factors of poverty and substance abuse. Applicants must be able to demonstrate a strong association with existing family support organizations, counties, and communities. Applicants must have demonstrated ability to successfully partner with state and county level government agencies. Finally, no funding will be provided for existing services currently funded through another source, as in no funding may be used to supplant local, state, or federal funds for any purpose. Application package materials are due via email by March 11th, 2016 at close of business or 5 o'clock p.m. Instructions, much more detailed instructions, are included in the RFA located at the link indicated on your screen. Applications received later than this deadline will not be reviewed. OCAP is seeking 2 or more organizations to work collaboratively in order to reach a statewide audience and who have the capacity and ability to provide statewide training and technical assistance in best practices and or promising practices to build protective and promotive factors within communities and families and mitigate the major risk factors of child abuse and neglect, with a particular focus on substance abuse and poverty. The grantee will be responsible for organizing training logistics, such as training formats, coordinating staff, time schedules, travel, and facilities. This program will require considerable flexibility to respond to changing needs and priorities. Specific information regarding activities to be included in the project are included in the complete RFA, as well as specific information on how to prepare an application and the supporting documentation which must accompany it. In regards to questions submitted to the Office of Child Abuse Prevention regarding this Strategies RFA, we received 10 questions, and I'll go through each of them. First, will each partner have its own contract with OCAP, or will it be one contract for all managed by a fiscal agent? Each partner will be issued a separate grant. However, each grant application must clearly convey how the applicant will work in a collaborative capacity to provide statewide training and technical assistance. Two, does a state university fit your definition of a not-for-profit agency? Yes. Applicants must submit proof of not-for-profit standing with the federal government of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service, by submitting a copy of their tax-exempt status letter of either A, a certification from the State of California, Office of the Secretary of State, or B, a letter from the Federal Department of the Treasury, Internal Revenue Service. In addition, no more than 10% of funding costs can be utilized for indirect or administrative costs. 3, please provide the RFA. The RFA stated that each of the pages in the narrative should be uploaded to document A. However, document A, or the narrative online upload section, is limited to too few characters. We do apologize for this error. Document A, the narrative report, should include several different components, including a 2-page problem statement, a 10-page implementation plan, a 1-page sustainability plan, a 1-page funding maximization section, a 2-page collaboration section, and a 1-page past performance section for 17 total pages. The revised form, which will be able to fit all of the aforementioned documentation, will be posted on the OCAP website before 5 p.m. on Friday, February 26th. Please proceed by drafting any responses required by the form in a Word document from which applicants should be able to copy and paste into the updated form with ease. Question number 4 is similar to the previous question regarding form space in document A. Document F appears to have the same sort of problem, and the maximum page limit of 5 pages do not fit in the current electronic document F posted on the OCAP website. We also apologize for this error. The revised form, document F, will be posted on the OCAP website, again, before 5 p.m. on Friday, February 26th. Please, again, proceed by drafting any responses required by the form in Word, from which applicants should be able to copy and paste into the updated form with ease when it is posted. Additionally, document C, the scope of work, and document G, applicant qualifications, will also be modified for increased ease of use, and the modified versions will likewise be uploaded to the OCAP website before 5 p.m. on February 26th. Question 5. The RFA uses the language applicant in the RFA document and requires a collaborative effort of at least 2 partners. Does the OCAP anticipate that collaborative applicants will develop and submit a joint scope of work for all activities or separate scopes of work for each collaborative partner? Separate scopes of work should be submitted and clearly make the link to convey how the applicant will work in a collaborative capacity to provide collaborative training and technical assistance statewide. 6. Should applicants submit one budget for all collaborative partners or separate budgets aligned with scopes of work activities for each partner? Each partner should submit an individual budget. When combined, the partners' budgets should not exceed the total amount allotted yearly. Question 7. Will OCAP develop separate grant contracts for each collaborative partner? Each partner will be issued a separate grant. However, each grant application should still clearly make the link to convey how the applicant will work in a collaborative capacity to provide collaborative training and technical assistance statewide. 8. Does OCAP anticipate development of one shared scope of work, one contract, and one budget developed with a lead partner and subcontracts to other partners? Separate scopes of work and budgets should be submitted to apply for the RFA. Each partner will have a separate grant agreement with OCAP. The scope of work should clearly make the link to convey how the applicant will work in a collaborative capacity to provide collaborative training and technical assistance statewide. 9. Is the 10% indirect rate a firm percentage, or is there an opportunity to negotiate the indirect rate based on actual indirect costs allocated to the project? In accordance with the Child Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, CAPTA, and the Community-Based Child Abuse Prevention CBCAP funding guidelines, only 10% of funding may be used for indirect costs. For more information, you can follow the link provided on your screen. 10. Is there an opportunity to apply an organization's federally calculated and approved indirect rate to this project? No. In accordance with CAPTA and CBCAP funding guidelines, only 10% of funding may be used for indirect costs. Again, for more information, you can follow the link presented on your screen. In summary, the request for proposal specified that the OCAP would be accepting questions regarding the grant announcement and its requirements from February 2nd through February 12th, and would be posting the questions and corresponding answers on February 19th, which was completed, and the full list can be found in a Word document on the OCAP's website. In PDF form. They are also discussed in this presentation, which will be posted at a later date. Thank you for your questions. Please stay tuned to the OCAP website as several more RFAs are forthcoming. Thank you for your time.